Now that we've got the basics of the scene set up and we've got some lighting effects in there, there are some scene effects I want to go ahead and engage to augment what's been done in Photoshop for the background art. Try to get all this set up so that as we integrate characters into the scene, we're not fighting the background versus the character. We've got everything established. The first thing I want to do is that while I created the coins on a separate layer so we can move them around, I kind of like the fact maybe I could make them a little more reflective, or give, I should say not the coins, but make the table more reflective. I intentionally grunged up the table like I did everything in the scene, from damaging wallpaper and stuff like that, but I still want to have a little extra flair here for reflection. An easy way to do that is to simply come down to coins, and I'm just going to duplicate this layer. With that done, I'll go ahead and rename it from coins 2 to coins reflection. I could group these together if I wanted. That would probably be a smart thing. Let me drag this back behind. And then what I'll do is, with the layer manipulation tool selected, I can go ahead and drag this down a little bit. Now that looks goofy right now, and let me shrink this up just a bit so we can zoom into this and see exactly what's going on. Right now it looks just confusing. So the obvious thing to do then is to go ahead and double click the layers settings here and change the opacity to something more like, I don't know, 20. And let's go ahead and change the blending, because I don't want the dark to get darker. I only kind of want to hint at the fact that there's some lightness going on. And I randomly pulled it down, but I'm getting kind of a nice little match of what's going on with the reflection. So let's go ahead and just go to screen here. This should, in theory, knock out all the darks and just show the lights a little bit. If I want to try another option like overlay, I think I'll pick up some of those darks a little bit. Not real obvious there. Or add. We'll leave it with screen right now. Really subtle differences there, and I think I'll just stick with something I know that renders very, very well, and that's the screen. So I'll click apply. Okay, so I can move these two items together across the table. Let's go ahead and create a new group. And this will simply be coins. And then I will drag this above the coin layer and shift click these two coin items and simply drag them into the coin layer themselves and close that up. So now whenever I want to go ahead and select this layer, if I need to, I can move it around and everything moves with it. So that's perfect. Let's go ahead and back out a little bit here and take a look at the scene as well. Do a quick render here. And we see things are looking all right. We've got this glow that's washing out this left corner a little bit, and that's fine. What I'm seeing just from a visual direction, there's a couple things. One is that motion always trumps shape and color. So if something's moving, it attracts the attention more easily and is more important than how detailed things are, all that type of stuff. Well, I kind of like the detail around the window here. I like the coat hanger right here. The values, the lightness and darkness between the interior and the exterior shape is a little too close. They are really similar, and it's making it just a little bit harder to distinguish between what's going on back here. And I'm going to want to have more attention pulled to this area based on the storyboard, where we've got a camera move that goes to our character up to the clock and over. But I don't want to darken the whole scene. I still want it to be kind of light. So what we'll do is come down to the room wall layer right here, and I'm going to double click on this. This opens our layer settings again. We'll come to shadows and we'll differently engage the same trick that we did on the chair to get that nice blue highlight. We're going to go ahead and instead make the room darker from the top down. We're going to darken up the ambient feel of it all. Now this is pointing right here, the shading direction from the direction it's coming from. I want it to come from the dead top here. The next thing I want to do is say, let's see, I want this to be kind of significant, so I'm going to reduce the transparency of it a little bit further. So it's about 75% here. According to the alpha channel, it's a value of 184. Leave that there. The offset is going to be kind of significant. What do these numbers mean and what do they relate to? Well, it has to do with pixel dimensions inside the document. You remember that under the File Project settings, we went ahead and accepted the default settings of 872 pixels by 486. So the height is what I'm looking at right now, 486, almost 500. I'll click cancel here. I really don't want to change anything. What I'm going to do for the offset here is increase this. I'll turn shading on. Make sure that I have the correct layer selected right there. Okay. And I didn't apply it, so I'm going to have to reset everything right here. Turn that back up to 90. I want this offset to be 1/5, about down to this clock area. I want that to get darker only on the wall, so that's why we're doing this to the wall layer itself. So let me offset this by a value of 100, and let me blur this by like a value of maybe 50. And I'll need to come back and check this transparency here. Bring it back to where it was, click Apply. Now this is a render time effect, and it means that we won't see it happen until we actually do a render. So let's do a render. Now we can see we're getting this nice darkness going across the top here. I may want to extend it even further, maybe give it a blur value instead of 50 of 100. Let's try that. I'll leave this open for comparison. I'll blur this now to a value of 100. Click Apply. We'll do a new spot render. Now this darkness is coming down from the top. Let me move the layer settings over a little bit so we can kind of compare these two side by side. So we get this darkness. It's obscuring more of this window frame here, and the effect it's having is that this darkness is now pushing out or making more obvious the background across the street, and we'll want that. I can go ahead and play with it just a little bit more if I wanted. Let's try, say, a value of 150. Move that further down. Click Apply. And we'll do another render. I'll move the layers palette over here. Compared to these three, that darkness comes down very nice. We get this red highlight a little more obvious from that neon sign. It's a good look, like what's going on, so we'll leave our layer effects settings like that. So we've got the reflection going on for the coins that move around, and now we've darkened up the ambience so that it works better in the scene for a focal point on the left, and then a second focal point when we get our government agent back over here.